What's going on, everybody? And I am back from vacation, and I'm pretty excited to make this video because the USFL playoffs have finished, and I haven't made a video yet reacting to that, so I want to give my thoughts on it. Now, obviously, I got both of my semi-final predictions wrong. I picked the Generals and the Breakers. Both of them lost, and both of them in heartbreaking fashion. And then the championship ended up being the Stars and Stallions, and I picked the Stars to win that game, and obviously the Stallions won it yesterday and are the USFL champions. So let's jump right in, but before we do, make sure to subscribe and sack that like button, trying to keep the channel growing. This video is going to be a kind of a review of the 2022 USFL season, but first let's talk about the championship game since it just happened yesterday. Obviously, Stallions versus Stars, high scoring final score of 33 to 30. The Stallions were leading 20 to 9 at the half, and the Stars took full control, made it 23 to 20, and Case Cookus was on fire. He had thrown 3 touchdown passes, no picks, a good completion rating, and then he broke his fibula. And that's how it went. He broke his fibula when they had a 3-point lead with the ball, and from there on, it just was not good for the Stars. Now, to be fair, that can't be an excuse. Cookus got hurt because Jamar Smith got hurt as well for the Stallions. So both teams had their backup quarterbacks for the fourth quarter. So that isn't an excuse. But Case Cookus was playing much better than Jamar Smith was. So losing, I think, Case Cookus was more of a blow to the Stars than it was for the Stallions losing Jamar Smith. After seeing the playoffs and just how it was pretty hotly contested when it comes to this ranking, I think Case Cookus is the best quarterback in the USFL. I think him and Luis Perez are the top 2 quarterbacks. I'd edge it with Cookus right now, but Perez a close number 2, and I think those guys are the top 2 guys. But it was such a shame to see him get injured. He played pretty much the entire season. Led his team, was a good leader for his team, the undisputed leader for his team, and was playing a great game. And it looked like his team was about to win it, and then the injury happened. But that's part of the game of football. Unfortunately, you can't avoid injuries. Obviously, the Stallions went on to win the game 33 to 30. There was a little bit of life, but Costella, the backup quarterback for the Stars, really was not making good throws. He was playing terrible. He threw that pick to Scooby Wright, pick 6, that pretty much sealed the game for them. I have no doubt in my mind, though, if Cookus stayed healthy in that game, Stars would have won. But they didn't, and you can't take that away from the Stallions. Stallions got the win. And the Stallions are the champions, and they were the favorites throughout the year, even though there was a lot of moments during the year where they looked pretty weak and pretty flimsy. They pulled through and got it done. So, yeah. Now, going through each team, I'm going to go through each team real quick and kind of give a, recap and, grade somewhat for their season. Now, starting with the Marlers, we'll work our way up here. Obviously, the Marlers went 1-9, had a QB carousel. Not a great year. I don't think Kirby Wilson will remain the head coach for next season, the USFL, because, by the way, the USFL has been renewed for a second season, which is very exciting, and they're going to possibly have an expansion a few years from now, bring back more of the old teams, and they're going to add more locations for the games, maybe as early as next season. Then the Panthers, they went 2-8. I don't think Jeff Fisher will stay the coach. I think they wanted to see. They took him. It was a, screw it kind of a hiring a former NFL coach, a former Super Bowl contending head coach. But obviously that didn't work out well. They have some interesting quarterbacks there, Paxton Lynch and Josh Love. We'll see if any of these guys will be back next year for the USFL, and we'll see how it goes. The Gamblers, they went 3-7. Lost a lot of close games. This is a team that had a lot of potential, but things just didn't go their way, and you got to blame a lot of that on coaching, not being able to close out games. The Bandits went 4-6. They had a very up and down year, but overall it was probably a pretty frustrating year. Jordan Tamu, the quarterback, he showed some good stuff, but overall, just not a great season for them. Now, the Generals went 9-1, and they were my pick to win it all heading into the playoffs. Now, Cavante Turpin won league MVP, the wide receiver for the Generals, probably the most explosive player in the NFL. In the USFL, excuse me. He may be in the NFL soon, though. So that was a cool accolade there. But overall, it was pretty disappointing how the season ended for the Generals. You know, they clearly were the better team than the Stars. They had already beat them twice earlier in the year, and they had the game that they were playing them in. It was just a sloppy game on both sides, but, you know, like I said, it's very hard to beat the same team 3 times in a season, especially if it's a good team, and Stars obviously are a good team, but I think the Generals were the better team. They just didn't play all that well that day when they showed up, and, you know, it cost them the game. The Breakers went 6-4. They lost to the Stallions for a third time, you know. That is the difference, though. The Stallions took care of business and beat the Breakers a third time. The Generals could not beat the Stars a third time. So it's not really an excuse for the Generals, but, you know, it is tough. But the Breakers lost again to the Stallions. I thought they would beat them, but they wound up losing 31-17. Cal Sloter just can't seem to play mistake-free football. As I said in the video, that would be the deciding factor in the game, and he just could not play well. And then the Stars, obviously, we already talked about them, an underdog team throughout the season, and it seemed like they almost pulled off the Cinderella story, beating the Generals and the Stallions, but they couldn't pull it off there at the end. Case Cook is, like I said, getting injured, and then of course last the Stallions, who went 9-1 and won the championship. Skip Holtz was able to pull his team together and get the job done. So congratulations to the Birmingham Stallions for winning it. It was a heck of a fun season for the USFL, and I can't wait to see where the rest of this league goes. I think it's going to be around for a while, and I'm excited to see how things play out and these players. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time.